Welcome to this transmission of the Looking Glass Transmissions. Today we're taking a focused look into a really lively discussion.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
It's the Ladies' Night at the Cult of Brighter Days video. You know, the one with Dr. T, Dr. Jess, and Bishop Sara.
Ah, yes. That one. Quite the dynamic trio.
Exactly. And we'll also be weaving in some insights from the SAVE Act, that voting legislation, and an interesting piece called When the Alarm Sounds. It's got a different take on civic action.
Okay, so bringing those different threads together. Sounds good.
Right. The mission here is basically to pull out the core ideas, the key takeaways from all these sources, and, you know, give you a clearer picture of the issues and the particular angles from that ladies' night chat.
It's interesting, isn't it, how that ladies' night video, with all its sort of personal moments and humor, gives a very grounded view on things like the SAVE Act.
Mm-hmm.
And it even connects, in a way, to that more grassroots permaculture idea in When the Alarm Sounds.
Totally. Okay, so let's jump into ladies' night. They had a few tech glitches at the start, which, honestly, made it feel pretty relatable.
Happens to the best of us.
Right. Then we heard from Dr. Jess' psychology background. Dr. T, she's got that organizational psych and digital accessibility expertise. And Bishop Sara with her spiritual advisor role and what she calls holy humor.
A really interesting mix of perspectives.
Definitely. And the conversation, it turned pretty quickly to the SAVE Act.
Yeah.
Dr. T had actually written about it, so she laid it out clearly.
What was the gist again?
The main thing is needing documentary proof of citizenship to vote. So like a passport, birth certificate, naturalization papers, that sort of thing.
Okay. Straightforward enough on the surface.
Well, yeah, but what really hit home was Dr. T's personal story about how name changes, you know, marriage, divorce can mess everything up. Your documents don't match.
Ah, right. I remember that. That makes a seemingly simple rule suddenly quite complicated for a lot of people.
Especially women, yeah. And then they brought up the cost. Getting these documents, keeping them updated, it costs money.
Which immediately makes you think about poll taxes, doesn't it? The 24th Amendment.
Exactly. Could these costs, even if they're indirect, actually become a barrier, prevent people from voting? It's
a really critical point, especially when all three hosts seem to agree that the problem the act claims to solve non-citizens voting is, well, statistically tiny.
Yeah, almost non-existent according to most data.
So it makes you ask, what's the real reason for this kind of legislation? They threw out a few ideas, didn't they?
They did. Maybe it's a distraction or a way to restrict access, control. Or Bishop Sara had a pretty sharp way of putting it.
What was that?
Something like flipping the board when winning is difficult.
Ooh, pointed. Yeah. That suggests it's more about manipulating the rules than addressing a real problem.
And Bishop Sara also said something powerful, like a real democracy shouldn't be scared of its people, shouldn't need to gatekeep voting.
That's a strong statement.
Yeah.
Did they talk about the chances of this thing actually happening, the SAVE Act?
Yeah, they discussed how likely it was and the potential impact, you know, nationally, especially thinking about states like Arizona where mail-in voting is huge.
Mm-hmm. That could complicate things significantly.
There was just this clear frustration, you know, that the whole act is built on what they see as, well, unsubstantiated claims of voter fraud.
It ties into that idea mentioned in the SAVE Act document itself, actually, the Fenord psychology.
Remind me.
It's basically the concept that systems can throw up these, like, manufactured threats to distract everyone from what's really going on.
Ah, okay. So the skepticism from the Ladies' Night crew about the act's real purpose sort of fits that idea.
It really does. And they also questioned the federal government getting more involved in elections, which have usually been, you know, state-run things. That's a big shift to consider.
So the conversation naturally moved to, okay, what can people actually do about this?
Right, the response.
They talked about the standard stuff, calling senators, representatives, but also more grassroots things, like maybe running for local office yourself.
Putting yourself in the game.
Yeah, but there was also this undercurrent of, well, maybe disillusionment. Like, expecting logic and sanity to work in politics right now might be optimistic.
A certain weariness, perhaps? Mm-hmm. Did they mention specific obstacles?
Dr. T did. She brought up how difficult it actually is to get your name changed on a birth certificate, even after marriage. It's not always straightforward.
Wow. Another bureaucratic hurdle you just wouldn't think about. That really underlines the practical problem.
For sure. And the worry about mail-in ballots in Arizona, that's a concrete, real-world potential consequence. It wasn't just theoretical.
And didn't they joke about needing a cult member in office?
Yeah, a bit tongue-in-cheek. But it kind of spoke to wanting representation that actually gets their perspective, their values.
That desire for different kinds of voices, it actually connects nicely to the when the alarm sounds piece. Well, Dr. T mentioned her own physical limits, neck surgery, preventing her from traditional protesting.
Right, I remember that. Accessibility and activism.
Exactly. And that led to a broader chat about whether current protest methods are even that effective anymore. That's skepticism.
Yeah.
It really lines up with the vibe in When the Alarm Sounds. That article was responding to David Brooks calling for this huge civic uprising.
Okay.
But the Ladies' Night folks and the Park Rose permaculture response in that article seemed more focused on local sustainable actions, not necessarily giant marches.
More community level stuff, less top down.
Precisely. Which brings us to Dr. T's rather unique suggestion.
Oh, the glitter bomb.
Yeah.
Memorable, definitely nonviolent, maybe a bit out there.
Perhaps, but aimed at representatives to kind of, as she put it, wake the heck up.
It captures that principled absurdity idea from When the Alarm Sounds, doesn't it? Disrupting things in an unexpected way.
Absolutely. And then they broadened out again, thinking about proactive stuff, community solutions.
Like mutual aid, filling the gaps where services, maybe like Medicaid, are failing.
Yes. And they gave real examples. Dr. Jess doing pro bono work using a sliding scale. Dr. T offering free help with web accessibility.
Putting their skills to use for the community.
Right. And Bishop Sara talked about the third space, community spots outside home and work, and how their cult serves as that safe, supportive place for them.
That's so important. They even mentioned potentially creating a physical island community if their Patreon support allows it. A real-world space.
It shows that desire to build something tangible. And it's fascinating how their different backgrounds, psychology, accessibility, spirituality, all feed into this shared community ethos.
Yeah, they're not all focused on the exact same thing, but it works together.
And they're clearly working hard on the virtual side, too, expanding online, making their podcast accessible. That's all part of building that community.
They ask for engagement, too, right? Likes, comments, subscriptions.
Yeah, fostering that connection. And they even floated the idea of a conversation between Dr. T's son, who apparently has different political views, and Michael, showing an openness to dialogue.
Interesting. So, okay, pulling back a bit. What was the practical advice for listeners trying to navigate all this chaos?
They had some really good, grounded suggestions. Bishop Sara's advice was about finding humor, finding joy. Keep a humor journal, she suggested.
I like that, balancing the heavy stuff.
And Dr. T echoed that actively look for the good things happening. Don't only focus on the negative news. Find a balance.
Easier said than done sometimes, but important.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Bishop Sara also encouraged just doing spreading hope, kindness. Small individual actions can make a difference.
Yeah, don't underestimate the small stuff. Dr. T added something important, too, about privilege.
What was that?
Acknowledging whatever privilege or safety you have and consciously trying to extend that safety and support to others who might have less.
That's a really vital point, an ethical dimension to it all.
Yeah. And even the funny bit about pixie dust glitter and respecting boundaries kind of reinforced that be kind even when you're protesting or disagreeing.
True. And Bishop Sara had another specific idea for action.
Oh.
Focusing protests or support on areas where marginalized communities are specifically under threat, making it targeted.
Right. Direct the energy where it's most needed. And supporting existing nonprofits, community groups. It all came back to the local, tangible action theme.
Exactly. The final message was really a call for positive action, positive engagement. Find something positive you can do.
So looking at the whole picture, the ladies' night chat, the save act, when the alarm sounds, it really gives you the snapshot, doesn't it?
It really does. It's like a microcosm of these big societal tensions, top-down control versus individual rights, the power of community, how we even engage with the world anymore.
Yeah, lots to chew on.
Definitely.
So as we wrap up this transmission of the Looking Glass Transmissions, we've journeyed through that ladies' night discussion, connecting it to voting rights, civic action, all that.
We hope it gave you, the listener, a good look at the different perspectives from Dr. T, Dr. Jess, Bishop Sara, and the different ways they thought about taking action.
It really prompts you to think, doesn't it? How do you balance engaging with the big systemic stuff versus building up your own local community?
Where do you put your energy? We definitely encourage you to check out the articles we mentioned, maybe explore the Cult of Brighter Days stuff online if you want to dig deeper.
And always remember their core principles. Be kind, be nice, be funny, but don't punch down.
Everybody shut up.
and go away if you can't manage that.
This has been the Looking Glass Transmissions.